If you call a spade, you'll get labeled all types of names. Imagine Scott Agnes criticizing South Carolina and Asia Wilson fans for going after Caitlin Clark during her rookie season. Imagine the backlash.
In an article, he put something in there, and I don't know if he thought it was going to be a side note to his article, but you cannot call Caitlin Clark fans the dark side of the fandom. No, that wasn't the greatest or smartest idea in the world.
What if a revolution in sports was met not with celebration, but with a strange and bitter resistance from within? A quiet war is being waged for the soul of women's basketball, and the main battles aren't being fought over points or rebounds, but over control and relevance.
This is really disappointing from a journalist so closely linked to the Indiana Fever organization. This is really, really disappointing, and it's really concerning in my opinion, because it is painting a 23-year-old on their team who is currently injured.
It all exploded into public view when a single reporter decided to light a match, labeling Caitlin Clark's millions of passionate new fans the dark side. In doing so, he didn't just spark an argument, he exposed the bizarre, often hostile, and deeply dysfunctional environment surrounding the most transformative player the game has seen in decades. This isn't just a story about a controversial article, it's the story of how a league and the media meant to cover it came face to face with a phenomenon they never saw coming, and seemingly tried to tear it down.
Imagine Scott Agnes writing an article about the Reese's Pieces and all their negative vitriol, shout out to L. Duncan, that's been targeted to Caitlin Clark. Imagine the backlash he would receive. But what's the safe way out? What's the safest way to big up the Indiana Fever? Well, you tear down Caitlin Clark's fans.
The firestorm was ignited by a phrase buried in an article by a reporter with deep insider access to the Indiana Fever. In a piece supposedly celebrating the team's recent success, he claimed that the nastiness and dark side of the fandom wasn't coming from longtime supporters, but from fans who were only there for Clark. The accusation was stunning. The real problem, according to him, wasn't the relentless on-court aggression Clark was facing, nor the officials who refused to call it.
Man, this is very sad, very disappointing. It's disgusting that Caitlin Clark has to be subjected to this nonsense, and enough's enough. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. She needs to come out and draw the line in the sand, and it would not shock me if at some point, man, Caitlin Clark is just done with this.
The problem was the new fans, the millions of people pouring money into the league, selling out arenas from coast to coast, and shattering viewership records were suddenly painted as the villains. The backlash was swift and severe. Fans who had invested their time, money, and passion felt a deep sense of betrayal, attacked by a journalist who was supposed to be offering objective coverage, not condemning them for their support. But this bizarre attack was just one symptom of a much larger, more physical problem. While a reporter was typing about her fans, Caitlin Clark was enduring an unprecedented physical onslaught on the court.
But yesterday they also announced the skills competition for the WNBA All-Star team. And she didn't make that either. So you argued she wasn't good for the Olympics. Your argument, though I don't buy it, but it was your argument, women's basketball, that she would be a distraction. So isn't the perfect place to put her in the skills competition?
Night after night, she is subjected to a barrage of off-ball shoves, jarring hip checks, and flying elbows that are consistently ignored by the referee. In one infamous sequence, a defender was seen grabbing and holding Clark multiple times on a single play, with every illegal action going uncalled. The aggression has been so blatant and persistent that the debate has moved beyond sports shows, leading to serious arguments that the league has allowed a hostile and unsafe workplace to fester around its biggest star. This isn't just playoff intensity or tough defense, it's a clear pattern of physicality that feels designed to intimidate and injure. The silent whistles from the officials have only empowered this approach, creating a dangerous environment where the league's main attraction is treated like a public target.
Nasty, nasty. If y'all don't know who Scott Agnes is, he's a guy that's he's very close to the team. He gets a lot of access. He's in the practices. He's interviewing the players at practice. He's interviewing the players pre-game, post-game. He is very close with the team and has a lot of access to the players and the team.
This is where the story twists from mere controversy into a full-blown gaslighting campaign. The same reporters who had a front row seat to the nightly assaults on Clark remained bizarrely silent on the issue of her safety. There were no outraged columns demanding the league protect its players. Instead, they aimed their fire at her supporters. The hypocrisy was deafening. Earlier in the season, Clark's own teammate, Aaliyah Boston, was the target of disgusting, racially charged attacks online. Those same media critics who later attacked Clark's fans were nowhere to be found, offering no defense for Boston. They saved their moral outrage for the people buying Caitlin Clark jerseys. This selective criticism fueled a toxic narrative that became even more absurd when Clark was sidelined with an injury. Suddenly, a talking point emerged, suggesting the Fever were a better, more cohesive team without her, a narrative that felt less like genuine basketball analysis and more like a coordinated effort to diminish her monumental impact. This strange narrative wasn't just coming from reporters. It seemed to be part of a bigger, more troubling pattern from the top down. The league itself seemed utterly baffled by its own golden goose. The decision to leave Clark off the U.S. Olympic team was the first major shockwave. While the official reasoning pointed to a lack of experience, the move was widely seen as a catastrophic marketing blunder, a deliberate choice to keep the sport's biggest and most compelling star off the world's biggest stage. The baffling decisions didn't stop there. In another bewildering move, Clark, arguably the most electrifying shooter on the planet, was not invited to participate in the WNBA All-Star three-point contest.
The ignorance is loud here, folks. They're only there for Clark. Boy, you stepped in it. But that dark side can easily seep into the team. The Caitlin Clark fans, the dark side. Because they're very passionate about a player, and yes, they've put their money where their mouth is. So these people, these fans, feel invested.
Each snub felt less like a basketball decision and more like a chapter in a high school drama. The NCAA had treated her like a phenomenon, building its entire marketing strategy around her transcendent talent. The WNBA, in stark contrast, greeted her with a cold shoulder, creating a Mean Girls atmosphere that seemed determined to treat her not as a savior but as an unwelcome outsider. But while the league seemed to be fumbling its golden opportunity, the very fans they scorned were busy building an empire.
Indiana Fever reporter Scott Agnes has decided that now would be the time, now that the Fever have won a few games, now would be the time to attack Caitlin Clark fans. While, of course, and I'm not even going to go through because some of them are really nasty.
The dark side, as they were so carelessly branded, is the single greatest force for growth the WNBA has ever known. Let's be perfectly clear. These aren't just Clark fans. They are the reason the Indiana Fever, a team that for years struggled for any shred of relevance, now sells out arenas in every city they visit. They are the reason WNBA viewership has exploded by triple-digit percentages, why merchandise sales have shattered every previous record, and why league websites have crashed under the sheer demand for her jersey. The very people being painted as a toxic problem are the ones subscribing to the league pass in record numbers, forcing major networks to make women's basketball a primetime priority, and injecting hundreds of millions of dollars and an unprecedented level of mainstream attention into a league that has been desperate for it for over 2 decades.
By off social media, do you mean that they don't read the notifications? Because they're all on social media, except for maybe Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. You want me to believe, I mean, Brianna Turner's always on social media. You want me to believe that these players who are so addicted to the drama, who are so addicted to the outside noise, have gone off social media? Stop gaslighting us. We don't believe you. You need more people. We don't believe you. You need more people.
The irony is almost poetic. The people being demonized are the very ones building the kingdom. This tidal wave of negativity isn't random. Many believe it's rooted in a deep, unspoken envy and a bitter resistance to change from the league's old guard. For years, the WNBA operated in a small, insular world. Clark didn't just join that world, she shattered it overnight, and it's clear that not everyone was happy about the disruption. This hostility has fueled explosive theories, including the shocking idea that the negative press is a calculated campaign to lay the groundwork for a future trend. The logic is as cynical as it is plausible. If you can successfully convince the public that the players' fans are the real problem.
Actually, now you would think that sentence is actually setting up in defense of the Indiana Fever, right? Because when you're on the top of the mountain, when you're the GOAT at the top of the mountain, you are going to get all the arrows. You're going to get all the arrows. This is true in any sport. This is true in life in general. When you are successful, you become a target. It doesn't matter that you might have started at the bottom.
At least Darth Vader got a cool
It dramatically softens the outrage when you decide to trade away the player they all came to see. It sounds like a paranoid conspiracy, but the puzzle pieces fit with unsettling precision, from family members of teammates making critical comments online to certain reporters relentlessly pushing a narrative that isolates. This story has grown so out of control, it has now escalated to a level nobody could have ever predicted. In a truly stunning development, the controversy has erupted beyond the sports world and into the national political arena. The situation has become so intense that there are now serious calls for a full-blown congressional investigation into the WNBA, citing potential civil rights violations and the failure to provide a safe working environment for its most prominent employees. The debate has mushroomed into a culture war, turning a story about hard fouls into a flashpoint for intense political and social commentary. It's a testament to how badly the situation has been mismanaged. This is no longer just about. It's about corporate responsibility, media ethics, and the deep cultural fault lines that Clark's historic rise has inadvertently exposed. So, after all the attacks, the gaslighting, and the betrayals, where does this leave the player at the center of the storm? In the end, Caitlin Clark stands in the middle of an impossible storm.